This video will be a story about a boy who was raised on the street. His life was extremely difficult because when he was just 7 years old, he lost his parents. And since then, he had to live on the street, begging for food and money to survive. But this boy was different. Unlike other homeless kids, he did not get involved in bad habits or theft. Instead, he was a diligent kid who made money by selling bagels in the mornings and shined shoes in the evenings. And the little money he earned that way, he tried to use it to both feed himself and go to school. However, his life was still very difficult, and even some of his friends made fun of him because he was always wearing old, dirty clothes. They said, "You'll never succeed. Look how poor you are." But every time they said that, Emre silently bowed his head. He knew his situation was difficult, but he never felt like giving up. He wanted to prove his friends wrong and show them that he could succeed despite being homeless. Years passed. Emre kept working hard and studying at night, all while enduring the pain of being alone in the world. At times, he dreamed of having a loving family, but he never allowed himself to dwell on those thoughts for too long. Otherwise, he would simply burst out crying. One evening, after a particularly long and tiring day, Emre sat down on a nearby bench in the park to rest, only to hear a group of older boys talking about their plans to rob a local grocery store. Although Emre didn't want to eavesdrop on them, he couldn't help but listen in as they discussed their plan in detail. They mentioned that the grocery store was usually fully stocked late at night and that there was rarely anyone around to stop them. As the conversation continued, Emre started to feel uncomfortable. It was clear these boys were up to no good, and their careless attitude towards their plans filled him with unease. As soon as they walked away, Emre quickly left the park, hoping to put the disturbing encounter behind him. However, he couldn't shake off the feeling of dread that had settled in his stomach. The image of the boys discussing their robbery plan was burned into his mind, and he couldn't help but worry about the potential consequences. In an effort to distract himself from the unsettling incident, Emre decided to head back to his usual spot under the overpass where he spent most of his nights. As he lay down to sleep, he couldn't help but replay the conversation he had overheard in his mind. The more he thought about it, the more concerned he became. The idea of the boys robbing the grocery store and potentially harming someone in the process filled him with anxiety. As the night wore on, Emre tossed and turned, unable to find a comfortable position or get a good night's sleep. The events of the evening had shaken him up, and he found himself constantly scanning his surroundings, half expecting to see the same group of boys approaching him with malicious intent. The familiar sounds of the city seemed to take on a menacing tone, and every passing shadow seemed to loom larger than life in his anxious mind. Exhaustion started to take its toll on him, and he knew that if he didn't get some rest, he wouldn't be able to function properly the next day. But sleep seemed elusive, and the events of the previous evening continued to haunt him. Just when he thought he might not be able to fall asleep, he remembered the kind old woman who ran the bakery near his usual hangout spot. She had always been friendly to him, and offered him a warm smile and a listening ear whenever he stopped by. Emre had never asked for help from anyone, but the thought of reaching out to the old woman crossed his mind. He knew she wasn't able to offer him money, but maybe she could provide him with a safe place to stay for the night. With this newfound hope, he got out of bed and started making his way to the bakery. When Emre approached the old woman and explained his situation, she didn't hesitate to help. She welcomed him to stay in her small apartment above the bakery and promised to keep him safe for as long as he needed it. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Emre accepted her offer and found solace in the cozy apartment. For the first time in a long time, he slept peacefully without the fear of being robbed or harmed. As the days went by, Emre continued to work hard at his job, selling bagels in the mornings and shining shoes in the evenings. But now he had the comfort of knowing that he had a safe place to sleep at night. The old woman's kindness had given him the peace of mind he needed to focus on his work and studies. He was determined to make the most of his situation and prove to everyone who doubted him that he could succeed despite the challenges he faced. He used the money he earned to buy himself new clothes and basic necessities, and he started attending school regularly. Although he was initially shy and reserved, Emmy's dedication and intelligence quickly made him stand out among his peers. His teachers praised him for his eagerness to learn, and his classmates admired his perseverance in the face of adversity. Emre never forgot the struggles he had endured growing up on the streets, and he was determined to make a better life for himself. He studied diligently and took on extra shifts at the bagel shop to save up for higher education. Despite the long hours and hard work, Emre remained optimistic and focused on his goal. Years went by, and Emre's hard work and determination paid off. He graduated from university with honors and landed a job in the business world. His colleagues respected him for his intelligence and work ethic, and his determination to succeed became evident in everything he did. Now, a successful businessman, Emre used his platform and resources to help others less fortunate than him. He established scholarships for children living in difficult circumstances, donated books and clothes to underprivileged schools, and funded shelters for the homeless. Emre never forgot the kindness of the old woman who had taken him in when he was just a homeless child, and he wanted to pay it forward by giving back to the community and making a positive impact on the world. News of Emre's success and generosity spread far and wide. People looked up to him as a role model, and his story became an inspiration to many. One day, Emre decided to visit his old hangout spot under the overpass to see if anything had changed. As he walked towards the familiar spot, a sense of nostalgia washed over him. The sights and sounds of the city had changed, but his memories remained strong. When he arrived at the overpass, he noticed a group of children playing nearby. They were laughing and playing, oblivious to the harsh realities of life that Emre had once faced. A wave of emotion washed over him, and he couldn't help but think about how different their lives were. These children had the luxury of innocence, something he had lost long ago. As he watched them play, a sudden realization dawned on Emre. He realized that his success and wealth had not diminished the hardships he had endured. Growing up on the streets had shaped him into the person he was today, and he wouldn't trade his experiences for anything. Emre understood that his journey had been filled with both pain and triumph, and he knew that true success was not just about material possessions, but about resilience, compassion, and the courage to keep moving forward no matter how tough the situation may seem. And so Emre continued his philanthropic efforts, working tirelessly to make a difference in the lives of those who were less fortunate. He became a beacon of hope for many, proving that with hard work, dedication, and a bit of luck, anyone can overcome adversity and achieve their dreams. Once upon a time, Emre, who had experienced homelessness and hunger firsthand, vowed to help those who were going through similar struggles. He started by offering food and clothing to people in need, but he didn't stop there. He opened a soup kitchen and provided hot meals to hundreds of people daily. Emre also partnered with local businesses to create job opportunities for the homeless, helping them gain financial stability and independence. But his most ambitious project was yet to come. Emre wanted to create a place where the homeless could feel safe and get back on their feet. He purchased a large building and transformed it into a shelter with comfortable beds, private rooms, and counseling services. Emre's efforts didn't go unnoticed. He received numerous awards and honors for his work, but he knew that the real reward was seeing the smiles on the faces of the people he helped. Emre continued his humanitarian work, proving that one man's trash is another man's treasure. And so the story of Emre, the homeless boy who became a successful businessman and philanthropist, continued to inspire people around the world. His journey was a testament to the power of hard work, determination, and compassion. And his legacy lived on through the countless lives he touched and the positive impact he had on his community.